2023 was a wild year for Brawl Stars. We had new brawlers get in the mix, aggressive metas form like we've never seen before, and a hypercharge button that'll change the way the game will be played forever. But the question I ultimately want answered is, who was the best? To answer this, I have over 150 responses from the community and you guys at home. I also compiled every single region's data from the Brawl Stars Championship to see how pro players made the decisions, and I will end the video with my top 3 as well. Let's start with the people's choice. I put this poll out on Twitter for anybody to answer, so we had a well-rounded pool of players. I got all the responses, weeded out the spam answers. Yes, I see you, guy who voted bull for all 3 responses at least 20 times. You're not slick with it. And gave out 5 points for first place, 3 points for second, and 1 point for a third place answer. With over 150 votes after still getting rid of all the spam, there were a few brawlers that clearly stood out. So I'm going to go over the top 5. In 5th for the community was Lou at 49 points. It seems like that hypercharge really made him seem more pesky to many public players. 4th was Fang at 72, who's a pretty good brawler, and I could really see being a menace on ladder, especially with the stunning gadget, the long Fang super kick. He could be a real problem. Now we make a huge jump, and feel free to make a guess in the comment section of who you think these top 3 are going to be. 3rd place was the new brawler in the mix for 2023. Cordelius more than doubled Fang and put up 187 points. He had 14 first place, 29 second, and 30 third place votes. So he clearly was seen as very good, but not quite the #1 by most of you guys at home. Now, here's where we get crazy, and there is a huge jump to the top 2. Number 1 and 2 for people's choice was exactly what I expected, and it was only a difference of 5 points. So the people at home really struggled with this one. At number 2 is Shelly with 323 points, 48 first place votes. Absolutely insane. Shelly got buffed during the year, added some speed to her kit, and dominated across the board for several months. With the addition of a hypercharge, she was nearly unstoppable for a long time. And finally, at number 1 for the community's choice, and I am sure as many of you were expecting now that you've seen Shelly, it is none other than the newest brawler in the game, Charlie, with 328 points and 50 first place votes. That means nearly 1/3 of all of you guys at home who voted on this poll put Charlie in first, which is crazy considering she's the newest brawler in this set of data. Not going to include the ones from December just because we don't have enough time, but it's safe to say that her time in Brawl Stars has been arguably the most dominant since any brawler, probably since Rosa 4 years ago. Now that we've seen the community's choices, let's find out what pro players did in 2023 across the world. To find this, I imported every single monthly finals data set on picks, bans, wins, all that jazz, added in the 3 days for World Finals and the 2 days for LCQ. I set up some formulas on win percentage, total picks, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to bore you with the details. Just know I did a lot of number crunching. Also, I think the results are going to shock you all a little bit. When combining bans and picks, there are clearly a few standouts amongst pro players. Starting with the public votes, Cordelius, who finished 3rd, was actually 9th in cumulative picks and bans for the BSC. Keep in mind, though, he wasn't available for the entire year to pro level because, well, he didn't exist. He's a new brawler this year. Along with that, he boasted a 57% win rate, which is very strong. You can also tell that 2nd place Shelly had a major boost in play along with the major buffs that she received, and also when she added a hypercharge. Even with her being irrelevant in past years of competitions and for a few months this year, she still finished 4th overall in picks and bans, had the 2nd highest win rate among anybody with over 50 sets played at a whopping 63%. Technically, Tara nudged her out of this win rate category by about 0.29%, but might as well give Shelly first considering that she was pick/banned 169 more times than Tara, which is nuts. Charlie, who has a really interesting set of data, and if you watch the World Finals, you'll be fully aware that she actually did not win a single match because she was banned in all of them. That's right, Charlie was literally banned 80 of 80 sets in the World Finals for a 100% ban rate. Keep in mind too, this is after she was already hit with a set of nerfs prior to the World Finals. So this is actually a tier down from the super mega OP Charlie that we were used to, and yet every single set she was banned. Also, there were several brawlers throughout the entire season for Brawl Stars pro players that clearly were showing up consistent, and I'll call them the 300 pick/ban club. These 3 brawlers were Squeak, Crow, and all-time max. The win rates for all three of them were not great though, so it's kind of hard to deem them the best, but I do think it's safe to say that they're versatile brawlers, and when analyzing them, it makes a lot of sense considering they've been consistent, pretty good, and can show up on a lot of different maps. Shelly just missed the 300 up club at 295 along with Stu. His win rate was only at 47%, so also not the best. Now, after all of this data digging on pros and also polling you guys at home, I'm going to give you all my take on what I think should be the 3 best brawlers for 2023. Before we do that though, it would really mean a lot if you all went down below and dropped a like in the video. It is easily the best thing that helps performance on this video and would mean a lot to me considering how much work went into this. Keep in mind that from my perspective, I'm a 42k ladder player. I play the game casually and I am a professional caster and, as you can tell from this video, a clear Brawl Stars nerd. So keep that in mind when I give my opinion. It may be different from yours, and that's okay. Couple honorable mentions for me here that I feel like are important before we get to bronze, silver, and gold placements. They were very close to getting my 3rd place vote, but just not quite there. RT, one of the new brawlers this year, actually had a fantastic streak when he was at the top. He's a long-range brawler. With his super, he's more dynamic with a high damage output, has a great follow-up gadget that is only improved with the 4 gadget gear, and at a pro level had a 57% win rate. And especially being considered that he was pick/banned 213 times, he is really close to being at the top for me. His dominant shelf life didn't last the whole year and for a super long time, but he definitely had a great run. An older brawler that definitely deserves a mention for consistency and for how apparent she was throughout the entire year was B. B got a boost from balance changes and is already such a dynamic brawler. She's long ranged, can slow down enemies with their super, and has an excellent way of dealing with tanks, which is super prevalent this year considering how aggressive and tanky of a meta it was. She was nothing but consistent, and for that, she deserves a shout here. However, these two couldn't quite crack the top 3, but they were darn close. He had a 57% win rate in pro players' hands, and once released was around for a long time this year, even into the World Finals where he was showing up a ton. His super in the Shadow Realm is also so unique and can cause so many issues for enemy players. In my own experience, when Cordelius was at his heyday, and especially newer, it was a really good Cordelius I was playing into. It was a troublesome matchup. Also, he's a little bit higher skill cap than people probably give him credit for. When watching pros play this brawler, you have to get that range down so perfectly since his shot is so short. He's got some really good utility around him, and of course, you only get 1 shot to land somebody in the Shadow Realm, or else you are giving yourself a horrible matchup in general. He was top 5 in bans to the BSC, 9th overall when you do pick/bans together, despite being a newer brawler that got added later in the year. He was definitely a huge part of the 2023 meta across all tiers of players, and for that, I think he deserves to be on the podium. Now, the big decision. 1st and 2nd place. If you want my honest take, the quote-unquote best brawler in a single moment this year has to be Charlie. It's undoubtable. She was nearly unstoppable across the board. Her super, the spiders, all of it. It made me so frustrated on my mastery pushes. So frustrated. It was such a short run that I feel like when you look at the year as a whole, and not just the 3 days at World Finals where yes, she had an 100% ban rate, I have to put her in 2nd here, but I totally get why people would put it in 1st. For me though, the queen of Brawl Stars is none other than Shelly. Her skill ceiling isn't crazy high compared to a lot of brawlers. She was given a hypercharge, has a sniper gadget that can now be used 4 times a match, by the way, with the changes in gears that we have in the meta, and her higher speed was added, which made her so troublesome to deal with. She is still pretty darn good, especially despite all those nerfs over time to either her hypercharge or her base stats as well. At a pro level, and as somebody who's casted this game for several years, she's been ignored for a long time. She's the first brawler you get in the game after all, and early until this year, she was basically nothing. Now, she has risen to the tippy top with the highest win rate in Brawl Stars, put up the craziest month of all time in a professional level, and she is dominant in anybody's hands. And for that, she will get the nudge for me to be the best brawler in 2023, whether you're an absolute noob just starting the game or one of the best players in the world.